So I want you to think back to the very first days after you heard the words alpha gal. Maybe you're in those days right now. There's a pile of questions that are sitting in your lap. None of them have easy answers. Maybe you're asking things like, what in the crap can I even eat? Like, is this going to be forever? And somewhere in there is maybe the strangest question of all. Wait a minute. A tick did this to me? To me. If that's where you are, my friend, if that's where you've been, you are in the right place. Because today we're going to go all the way back to the basics. We're going to talk about what alpha gal actually is, what it isn't, and why it turns your world upside down for a while before it starts to make sense. So no matter where you are on this road, this episode is for you.
My friend, I say sing anyway, love anyway.
Hey friend, welcome to the Alpha Gal Talk podcast, where we're figuring out life together while battling alpha gal one step at a time. I'm your host, Sundi Jo. I'm super glad to be here with you today. So let's go back to the very beginning, because I remember how badly I wanted somebody to just explain this to me in plain English. So alpha gal is a sugar, right? That's it. The full name is a mouthful. Say it 3 times fast. Galactose alpha 1, 3 galactose. And that's where we get alpha gal for short, okay? So this little sugar molecule is found in most mammals. Cows, pigs, sheep, deer, rabbit, that whole world, right? It's in the meat. And it's in the things that come from those animals too. But we're going to save the deep dive on that, on the hidden ingredients. We're going to save that for another episode because it deserves its own episode. But here's the part that still gets me. For most people, that sugar is completely harmless. Their bodies never give it a second thought. But something has to flip a switch. And for a lot of us, that switch is a tick bite. So usually it's the Lone Star tick, though research keeps growing on that, so stay tuned. But when that tick bites you, it can introduce alpha gal into your body in a way that your immune system really doesn't like. And your immune system, trying to protect you, starts treating that sugar like a threat. So the next time it shows up in a burger, in a steak, whatever, in your favorite bowl of cereal, your body starts to sound that alarm, right? I'm going to be honest with you. When it finally clicked for me back in 2022 that a dang tick was behind all of this, I just sat there for a minute, right? Because it just felt like almost too strange to be real. Something that small changing this much in your life and just like, boom, a moment, right? But that's exactly what happened. And if it happened to you too, here's what I want you to hear. You are not making this up. You are not alone in it. You are not crazy, okay? I'm going to say it again for a little louder for the ones in the back, right? You're not crazy. You're not making this up. You're not alone in this, okay? Now, here's why this thing is so sneaky and why so many of us went so long without answers. With most food allergies, the reaction is fast, right? You eat the peanut and your body responds right away. And that connection is obvious. Well, alpha gal doesn't necessarily play by those rules, right? The reaction is usually delayed. So like we're talking hours after you've eaten something. Sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 6 hours. Sometimes it wakes you up in the middle of the night, right? And you're like crapping your pants or whatever. Sorry, what you'll find about me real quick in this podcast is that I don't have a filter. But anyway, think about what it does to you. You have dinner at 6 o'clock, right? You feel fine. You go to bed, and at 1 a.m, you're miserable, and you have no idea why. You're cramping, or again, you're crapping your pants, or you're throwing up, or you're swelling up, and you can't figure out what's going on with your tongue or your throat. I mean, all the things, right? How on earth are you supposed to trace that back to the pot roast, right? You can't. Not easily, anyway. So you go weeks, and you go months, and sometimes you go years, feeling like something is wrong and not being able to name it. That was me That was for a long time, longer than I care to admit, right? The dots were there, but they were like so spread out that I couldn't connect them. And I want you to hear this because it matters. If you've spent a long time confused, or if a doctor's missed it, or if you felt like you were losing your mind a little, I know I said this a while ago already, that is not a failure on your part, okay? You're not crazy. This condition, this crazy disease is genuinely hard to spot. So the confusion that you felt makes complete sense, okay? So now let me pause here for just a second, because I know maybe you're thinking right about now, okay, Sundi Jo, that's the what. But what do I actually eat? Well, that's exactly why we put together the Alpha Gal meal plans. You know, in those early days, the hardest part isn't understanding the science. It's standing in your own kitchen with no idea what's safe to make for dinner. Well, the meal plans take that guesswork off your plate, like literally. They give you a real path forward so that you're not staring into the fridge every night feeling defeated. You can find them over at alphagalmealplans.com, and I will share the link to those in the show notes for you. So we've talked about what Alpha Gal is. Now I want to spend a few minutes on what it isn't, because there's a lot of confusion out there, right? And some of it can really trip you up. First, Alpha Gal is not just a red meat allergy. For the love of all things Dolly Parton, if I hear that one more time. I've gotten messages from several people who are like, people just don't understand, but if one more person says that to me, I get it. That drives me nuts too, okay? Alpha Gal is not just a red meat allergy. You'll hear people describe it that way, and I get why, right? But it sells the whole thing short. Yes, mammal meat is a big piece of it, okay? But Alpha Gal reaches into a lot more corners of life than just a steak dinner. And treating it like a simple meat allergy is how people get caught off guard. Second, Alpha Gal is not the same for everybody, right? This is a big one. Your triggers, your severity might look nothing like mine were, or nothing like your friends who's battling this too, right? Some people react to just the tiniest trace. Like some people have more room. Some people can't even walk into, a restaurant without like swelling up and needing an EpiPen. I had some friends back in my hometown. They opened a restaurant there, and they literally had to close the restaurant down because she found out she had Alpha Gal, and she was like the main cook. But even the smell of it was making her sick and putting her in the hospital. And for the longest time, she couldn't figure out what it was. I mean, she lost her livelihood over it, right? So some react to things that others don't touch at all. Okay, so please be careful comparing your journey to somebody else's. And please be careful deciding that you're doing it wrong, right? You're not. You're just different. And that is totally normal, okay? I am blessed that my reactions were not, I never needed an EpiPen. The fumes didn't make me sick. Like there's so many things that I feel blessed for that my reactions were not what everybody else's were, okay? All right, third, Alpha Gal is not only about food, okay? I said this a while ago, but I'm just going to plant that seed today, okay? Because it's a whole episode of its own. But there's more to it than what's on your plate, okay? And we're going to get there. And here's the one that I most want you to hear. Alpha Gal is not something you did wrong, okay? It's not a sign that you're high maintenance or difficult or too much, okay? You got bitten by a tick, okay? That's it. You didn't earn this. You don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to apologize every time you go out to a restaurant and need your waiter to do something different. You don't have to apologize when you show up at a barbecue and you can't eat what everybody else is eating. You don't have to apologize for bringing your own food to a family gathering just so you can be around family, okay? You don't have to apologize for any of that. And just in case you need permission today, here is your permission. Stop apologizing for it, okay? All right, glad we got that out of the way. Because here's the truth that I hold on to, and I want you to hold on to this too, okay? This is manageable. It is. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, okay? The overwhelm you feel today is not the forever version of your life, okay? People learn this. They find their footing. They eat food they love again. They go out again. They stop being afraid of their own kitchen, okay? You are not stuck where you are right now, okay? I know it seems hard to believe that, but I want you to hold on to that, okay? All right, so let's pull this together. Alpha-gal is a sugar found in most mammals, okay? A tick bite can make your immune system react to it. The reaction is often delayed, which is why it's hard to catch. And remember, it looks different from person to person, which is why your path is going to be your path and your path only. Now, I have to say this, and I say it because I mean it. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice, okay? So hear me there. I'm someone who's battled this right alongside you, right? And I'm just sharing what I've learned. I'm sharing what I continue to learn. So please, take what's useful here, take it back to your own healthcare provider, let them help you sort out your specific situation, okay? I ain't no doctor, but I did stay at Holiday Inn Express once. So if you are in those early days and you want a solid place to start, I put together a free Alpha-gal Basics guide. Walks you through the foundations without overwhelming you, okay? You can grab it at alphagaldiet.net/guide, and I'll share the link in the show notes for you for that. And once you're ready to actually get cooking, guess what? We've got a cookbook for you. It's called Alpha-gal Recipes, full of meals that are all safe and that you actually want to eat. We've got over 60 recipes in there for you, okay? You can find it at alphagaldiet.net/cookbook, or again, you can find it on Amazon, and I will share the link in the show notes for you. Okay, one more thing. If you haven't found our Facebook group yet, my friend, come join us. It's called Alpha-gal Diet, Recipes, and More. There are thousands of people in there who want to walk alongside you. We share recipes in there. There's constantly people sharing recipes in there. We share encouragement in there. We would love to have you come and be part of the community. You don't have to do this by yourself. I will share the link to that also in the show notes for you. So, thank you for spending time with me today, my friend. If this episode helped you make sense of things, anything, just a tiny little bit of something, share it with somebody else who's battling alpha-gal and maybe could use a little bit of clarity. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Here's to overcoming alpha-gal in Jesus' name.
I say pray anyway, give anyway, and someday everything will be all right.